Good morning. I'm Denise Dryden. I'm doing my weekly video on passing information on. And as we are entering Aries and as we are experiencing sort of that powerful fire, energy of Aries, and there's so many of us who have our wounds, our Chiron wounds in Aries, and because there's about 9 years, right? I think it's 68 to 77. Those of you born in that time have this huge, like, this is who I am, this is who I need to say, sort of wound going on, and it's going to be activated. So just know that. And part of the work that I've done over the last, my internet connection goes on and off, so sorry about that. I've been working with Chiron in coaching, because if I can find out where the wound is, then I know what the repetitive pattern is. And so I wanted to pass that on to you because I think this is really powerful information. So first and foremost, Chiron's a little asteroid. You can go back and look at some of my previous videos on this little asteroid. What it does is it holds a wound that shows up in your early childhood, mid-teens, even young adulthood at its latest. And it just keeps sort of tapping you and bumping you into your own growth. So Chiron is both the presenter, the illuminator, the key to the wound, but also the key to the gifts. So within this gifts, what we do is we track Chiron on our charts. So go to astro.com, run your chart, make sure you select Chiron, and you want to find out what sign it's in. And then you want to find out what house it's in, because what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about what the house is, because the house is going to show a element. So we have 4 elements. We have fire, we have water, we have air, and we have earth. And each of these are represented in different tarot cards. So here is the way that fire is portrayed in Osho and in Thoth, right? Fiery flames, lots of oranges, lots of reds, right? So then we also have water, which is cups, portrayed by, both this going with the flow, trusting, relaxing, and this super energized power of emotions and ideas, right? And then within the air, we have the swords. So it's both the mental capacity and it's the ability for intellectual clarity, okay? And then within the physical, the earth, we have the discs. I like this one, it's all pine cones, right? And over here, this is her experiencing, or I don't know if it's a he or a she, experiencing flowers, greenery, all that it resides on our earthly plane. So knowing that this is what the elements are that we're talking about, what I want to do is track these on an external level. What happens when these external elements kind of start pushing on us? And I'll explain this as we go along. So stick with me and, just make a little mental note to go find Chiron on your chart, and we can walk through this. And you can rewatch this at any time and go back and see some of the other work I've done on Chiron. So first, let's start with fire, okay? So fire is spiritual. Fire is, it's action. There's nothing immobile about this, right? It's how things radiate out of us. It's how we move with it. So when we have a wound in this fire element, the name of the wound is oppression. Because what happens is you're trying to put out your action, your momentum, your growth, your passion, your spiritual connection, and something sort of pushing you back. Something saying, no, you're too big, you're too powerful, you're too strong-willed, you're too much. And you just can't get going. What happens is you're stifled. So you sort of implode. And a lot of times when you get angry and you implode, you have acne, you have upset stomachs, you have irritable bowel. These are all the things that happen when something's sort of pushing on or oppressing our fire. What else? It's when we're disempowered, when we're shut down, and when we're pushed back. So those of you who may have childhood stories where you were really exuberant, you were really enthusiastic, you were very strong-willed, you were very passionate and creative about the things that you did, and people would say, no, 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 don't do that. But it's better if you put it towards this. And so parents try to channel it, or you stand out too much. So oppression is the wound. And we're going to go through and talk about how that is a gift in the second part of this, okay? The second one is water, which is our emotions, our feelings, right? How we carry ourselves. The wound that goes with water and our emotions is betrayal. And it's an interesting way to sort of look at it, because what happens with betrayal is that we access an emotion. We're following that emotion. We're in the ooey gooeys of it. We're enjoying it. And it's constancy and it's predictability with us. Like, oh, and then we're going to do this and that. And we get into our imagination and we start spinning stories. And we, may be reading a situation, or we may be misreading it, or blocking all the clues like, la, 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 I can't hear you, when you know that there's something going, something's off, something's off, something's off. So when it is removed, when those strings and how we wrap up and we get all warm and gooey with our emotions, when those are removed, when someone says, no, I don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore, or no, we don't want you working here anymore, or no, I'm going to withhold my love from you, and make it conditional, what happens is we feel betrayed. Like, what? I was reading that and then it's gone. And so the depth of betrayal is just like this bottom falls out underneath an emotional being, especially those that are intuitive or empathic. The bottom just falls out and we go like, I don't understand. And we just fall apart. Let's go to the next one. I hope that makes sense. Let's go to air, okay? So what we have with air is it's mental, it's thoughts. And the most important part about our thoughts is we bring our thoughts into form on the earth. This is how we we construct concepts. It's how we build awareness. It's how we go cause and effect. It's where that detective in us is like, if this happens and that happens, and it's very much about predictability. And what happens is when we are when this construction of thought is broken and someone says, you didn't really think that through, or I disagree, or you're wrong, or they judge you, like you always go there, you always go to the other side, and how do you know that? And so what happens is our thoughts aren't accepted, and we're stopped and we're told that we're stupid or we're wrong, when we have information that we've been analytically putting together and it works in our mind. So the wound here is rejection. It's when you're rejected for the constructs that you put together, when you're rejected for your thought patterns, when you're rejected because you're doing something outside the box. So rejection is the wound within the air sign. And then this last one, the physical, is, this is, whoa, I just dropped it. So here, let me get it. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is where we have the physical, the 3D, what we can touch, what we can experience, right? And so when our wound is here, it's how we get attached and we get secure and we build up this pattern. Like every morning mom comes in and wakes me up, or every morning I have, this teacher in school, or, it's where we build a security. And when that's changed, when it's stopped, when the physical is taken away, we're relocating and you have to leave all of your friends. Or I don't feel like cooking anymore and you're on your own for meals. The wound is abandonment. It's almost like the 3D world was working with me and now it doesn't. And there's this external, like the world out there just let me down, just shut me down. So abandonment is the wound. So when we know that these wounds of oppression, betrayal, rejection, and abandonment are there, let's talk about what the gifts are, because the most beautiful part of Chiron is that there are gifts. So when we have fire, when we have momentum, when we have action, and we're oppressed, how do we take it internally and go, this has nothing to do with me. They're uncomfortable. This school, this teacher, this church. They don't like my questions. They don't like my strong will. They don't like my truth. They don't know what to do with this. So we use our momentum to move forward. We make things move. We start that internal passion and we start to push it through. We become creative. We become very outside the box thinking. We lead, we empower, we participate. So the word here is enthusiasm, right? So the gift is that anyone with a lot of fire in their wound, once you flip it from oppression over here to this gift, the gift is movement, the gift is momentum, the gift is enthusiasm. So you can put energy behind anything that has your attention, and it comes from inside. It's a beautiful thing. So, you can go outside the box and you can just shatter the edges of that box. Of course you can, because you have momentum, right? So let's go to the gifts of water. Water is about our emotions. It's about our empathic, intuitive skills. It's where we have felt betrayal. It's also we're energy readers. We can sense what's going on in a room. Those of us that have, like I am, an incredible energy reader, and I see patterns and I see systems and I can predict and I watch what's going on. And you're going to misread when you're a little kid until you learn how to read the exact science. So it's a refined science. Some of us are good at it at the very beginning in learning how to temper it, how to manage it, how to work with the hurt feelings around betrayal is where our mastery comes in. So it's all about trust, right? So when we trust that the external doesn't understand, that the external's a little off, that the external isn't working, then we flip it from betrayal to trust. And our internal love and commitment to self works with us, okay? So let's go to the mental, the air. So if the wound is in rejection, then what happens is our great killer observation skills, our intellect, the way that we can see systems and patterns, the way we bring things into form, the way we build constructs, the way we create freedoms by using our mind and our imagination as we break things outside of the box and we start to expand them. Because if we look at movies like the Untold, I think it was the Untold Story, I can't remember the name of it, where you can sort of see the end of the earth and it's starting to fall away, or with your imagination, with your construct, you can start to build it. So what you're creating is freedom. So we take rejection, right? The wound of rejection, and we turn it into validation. We turn it into freedom. So when we sort of gather into this, like, wow, because I have such just amazing skills at being able to bring things into construct and into form, I can create whatever I want. And when we really realize that, I can create whatever I want. It's pretty powerful. So Earth. This is where, all of the pine cones and the needles, everything that's physical that you can touch. This is the wound of abandonment. And what happens is our physical world is changing. So, I think of the Virgos, the Tauruses, oh, good grief, that's hilarious, the Capricorns of the world. They're really good at systems. They're really good at patterns. They're really good at organizing. They're adaptive. They're resourceful. They know how to build systems. You want someone who knows how to get you into a new house, you go get a Virgo. You know someone who's dependable, who knows how to read and work with the physical world. This is where the mastery is. So if the wound is abandonment, then the way to flip it over is belonging to self, which is, I know how to do this, I'm resourceful. No matter what happens, I know what to do. And I know how to move within this 3D plane. So when we take each of these gifts that go with the pains that come from these wounds that are deep and given to us in our childhood, we learn how to flip it. It's amazing. So I have 4 tips for you today as we wind this down. Number 1, go to your element and play with it. And when I mean play with it, like, I'm in my wound's in the emotion. It's about betrayal. Learn how to play with betrayal. Like, oh yeah, that's when I was betrayed. So you normalize it, right? You sort of push past it. Number 2 is to normalize it, right? I jumped ahead. Normalize it, neutralize it, and play up the examples. Pull them up until you can get to the point where you don't have that reaction to it. And so you're like, yeah, it was really tough being an energetic reader in my family system. It was really tough being an energetic reader, an empath, an intuitive, a wise one, way beyond my years in traditional classes. And go like, of course it was. You know, what do you do with a kid like me? Okay, so you neutralize it so it doesn't have that heat. So the first one is get to know it, you know, really play with it. Second is to neutralize it, normalize it so that it doesn't have a hold on you. And then 3 is to flip it. Flip it over to this gifts that everything that you learned as a result of struggling with this. Whether it's oppression, whether it's betrayal, whether it's rejection, whether it's abandonment, this is a gift. So find out what it is teaching you, what skills you learned as a result of this, and how. And you can journal these, you can keep a list, you can create your own insights, because I just gave you a few. There are so many more that you're going to come up with. And then number 4 is create your own superpower character with these gifts. Like, you know, like there are times when I will walk into the coffee shop and I'll stand up really straight and go, boy, it's, you know, it is an interesting process to be able to read this room as well as I can read it. And then I can also learn how to shut it down so I can focus on what I want, and I can open it up when I want. And so me and my superpower of reading energy is my superpower. It is the fun thing that I like to do. So take these 4 tips, go find your chart, go through this, rewatch it, find out what your wound is, find out how to flip it. And if you want more support with that, and we can do a deep dive into what does all of that mean, definitely contact me for coaching. You can find me on DeniseDryden.com and on any of the social media sites that are usually linked below this post or below this video. Have a wonderful spring equinox day, and bring some light in and shine those gifts. Take care. Bye-bye.